Thank you, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome. Very exciting time in history of Illinois. Very honored and excited to be here with you today. This is the first step in our transition process as we get ready to serve the people of our great state of Illinois. I'd like to thank Governor Quinn for his commitment and his pledge to help and assist in the transition efforts. Our staff and his staff are in communication, and the transition efforts are underway. This afternoon, we are here to introduce you to some members of our transition team. We are committed to making our transition team broad, inclusive, diverse, representative of the leadership throughout the state of Illinois. We are committed to assembling the most talented team of leaders that's ever been assembled to turn around a state government anywhere in America. And we are calling on our fellow citizens here in Illinois, please, for those of you who are willing to serve, please step forward and let us know. We are looking for experts in the fields of finance, operations, technology, pensions, healthcare. We have major challenges in Illinois, and we look forward to taking those challenges head on a bipartisan basis to solve the many significant challenges that are facing us here today. I am personally committed to making Illinois the most compassionate state in America and the most competitive state in America. I believe very strongly there's an important role for government to help those who are vulnerable, those who are in need, those who need assistance from our society, from our community. In order to do that, we need to have a competitive, growing state. We need strong economic vitality. We need economic growth. We need Illinois to compete with the other states around America and with the nations around the world. By being competitive, we will then have the revenue we need inside the government to provide our very important social services safety net, to provide the careers that our hardworking families in Illinois need and deserve to increase their quality of life here in Illinois. We also need our schools to be competitive. We need to compete with K-12 schools, at the universities, early childhood education, so our young people can maximize their potential, their careers here in our great state of Illinois. Our solutions will be bipartisan. I believe we have a mandate based on this election to provide bipartisan solutions. For the first time in many years, we have a Republican governor, we have a Democratic legislature, and our mission is not to bicker, is not to waste time arguing, finding petty faults, but our mission is to serve the people, all the people of Illinois, to provide real solutions, real bottom line results to solve the problems, the significant problems that are facing our state today. I couldn't have a better partner anywhere in America than my running mate, Evelyn Sanguinetti, our next Lieutenant Governor of Illinois. She is leading our transition effort. I'd like Evelyn to step forward and address you now, and then we'll allow you to introduce, get to know some of the members of our transition team. Thank you. Evelyn?
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Well, it's such a pleasure to be with all of you today. Bruce gave me just one very important task in leading this transition effort. First thing I had to do was find the brightest and most talented, intelligent people, not only in the state, but in this country. People who understood what it will take, what we need to make Illinois both compassionate and competitive. Well, I'm here to tell all of you that we've done just that. The people before me today, they're very talented, very intelligent, and you know what? They only care about one thing, which is making Illinois great again. Bruce and I are very grateful to all the Illinoisans that are able to help us in this journey. We look forward to working with you, and we look forward to working with our new team. Thank you to our new team. Right now, I'd like to introduce you to a few members of the team. First, I will begin with Ms. Arabell Alva Rosales.
Thank you, Evelyn. I have to tell you that it is such an honor to have the opportunity to work with you and with Bruce because we want to bring back Illinois. It is about time. As a Latina entrepreneur, I understand many of the issues and challenges that are confronting Hispanics, not only here in the city of Chicago, but throughout the state of Illinois. I also am a small business owner, and we want to assure that there are opportunities for business owners and for individuals of all sizes, startups and businesses that want to grow. We want to give individuals of all backgrounds the opportunities that they should have so that they can thrive. I know that that is what Bruce and Evelyn are all about, and I am so looking forward to working with them to get the best things for this state of Illinois. Thank you.
Thank you, Arabell. And now for our next speaker, Reverend James Meeks.
Thank you. Of course, they put me on a timer. Let me say I'm Reverend James Meeks, and thank you, Evelyn, and I'm Bruce, and I'm looking forward to working with you, and I'm working with you guys on the transition team. I met Bruce about 6 years ago, and we were scheduled to meet for 30 minutes, and we ended up meeting for 3 hours, and the meeting was all about education. Bruce wanted to know what are my ideas in education, and we talked for 3 hours about how to make the schools of the state of Illinois better. I had no idea that he would be standing here as governor, and now he really has a chance to try to make every school in the state of Illinois a better place. When he uses the words over and over, compassion and competitive, I really believe that Bruce Rauner has a heart to make sure that every child in the state of Illinois receives an equal, high-quality education regardless of their zip code. And I have promised him that I would do everything I could to help him make that a reality, because every child needs a decent school. The second thing that Bruce and I spend a lot of time talking about is jobs. Why is it that in America, every person who wants to go to work, why is it that they cannot find a job? And I believe that Bruce Rauner will stay awake at night trying to figure out how to make Illinois competitive and how to put every person in Illinois to work if they're not working. And I look very forward to working with he and Evelyn to accomplish those things. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Reverend. And our last team member, Bill Daley.
Thank you very much, Evelyn. Let me, for one, say I'm glad they kept Reverend Meeks on a time clock, because the thought of following him without a clock would be rather dangerous. It's an honor to have been asked to be here today, and I'm thrilled to help Governor-elect Bruce Rauner with his transition to the office of Governor of the great state of Illinois. As some of you know, I've worked in both the private and public sectors, and I've experienced just how critically important thorough preparation is for a seamless transition of power. I look forward to sharing my knowledge with Bruce and his team as they recruit the best and the brightest from the private sector into public service. For I firmly believe there is no greater privilege than to be able to serve the people of the state of Illinois. Bruce's love for Illinois and his competitive drive to make it great once again is second to none. But so is his compassion for those, as he stated, who are less fortunate than us. Those are two qualities everyone wants in a governor, and I believe they will make Bruce an effective and productive governor for all the people of Illinois. The people have spoken. All of us, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, must move forward together and support our new governor and his administration. The future of the state depends upon all of us helping him. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And with that, I'd like to open it up to questions. Yes, Jay?
Bruce, there's not really much of a honeymoon for you in Springfield. You'll now enter office with a $2 billion hole in the budget. Do you feel it's inevitable that you have to bring back part, if not all, of the temporary income tax increase in order to fill that hole? And do you think it needs to be done before you take office?
I look forward to working very closely with the General Assembly to solve all of our problems. One of the most immediate problems will be our budget and our financial condition and our financial health. We've had massive debt and deficits. We have a long-term structural deficit. And we have a real tragic lack of competitiveness, so we are one of the lowest growing states in America. And we can't fix any of our problems unless we are a growth state. And we are building businesses, creating high-quality careers for everyone who wants to work. That growth will generate our long-term revenue necessary to fix our financial problems.
In the short term, you've got a $2 billion hole.
That's right. And I look forward to working very closely with the General Assembly to solve our problems going forward. The discussions are already underway. I've had discussions with members of the General Assembly right after the election. I've had discussions with Democrats in the General Assembly as well as Republicans in the General Assembly. And I will be holding meetings with members of the General Assembly very intensively between now and January to begin to lay the groundwork to come up with real solutions, bipartisan solutions to solve our problems.
Mr. Rauner, you spent months notifying Senate President Cullerton and Speaker Madigan. How do you prepare to move past that and work with them moving forward?
I've been a problem solver and a team builder my whole life. I'm excited to work very closely with members of the General Assembly. We are all elected to serve. We have a moral duty, we have an obligation to serve all the families, all the people of Illinois. Together, we share priorities. We share the need to have the best schools in America. We share the need to have high-quality jobs, high-quality careers for everyone in Illinois who wants to work. And we all have a duty. We have a moral obligation to make sure the tax burden on our families is reasonable, it's competitive, and that we spend taxpayers' money wisely. Taxpayers work hard to make their money. We have a duty to take as little of it from them as we can and make sure that every dollar we spend of theirs is spent very productively. I will work with the members of the General Assembly very closely. I've got good relationships with many members there, and I look forward to developing personal relationships with every member of the General Assembly to work together to solve problems. Yes, Mayor?
Let me clear up the question about, did you speak to Speaker Madigan and did you speak to Senator Cullerton directly? And if not, have you now spoken to them? If you've spoken to some members, aren't they the key members? Do you need to speak to them?
On election night, about 30 minutes before I came out to speak, I called the Chief of Staff for the Speaker. Did not reach him, left a long voicemail on my excitement and my honor to work with him, the Speaker, to speak with him at his earliest convenience to solve our problems on a bipartisan basis. We also called the Chief of Staff for the President, President Cullerton. We got him on the phone personally. Expressed our interest in working together closely and speaking with the President as soon as possible. He said he would pass that message on and our interest in working on a bipartisan basis together with the President. Since then, our staffs have been in good communication. We are, in fact, scheduling a meeting among the three of us in the near future. And I look forward to a very good, cordial working relationship. I have spoken with the President of the United States, President Obama, called. Had a good discussion with him. I've had a good discussion on the phone with Mayor Rahm Emanuel. He and I are working on scheduling a meeting together in the very near future. I also had a very good discussion with Senator Dick Durbin, Secretary Jesse White, Attorney General Lisa Madigan, and many members of the General Assembly on both sides of the aisle. It's a very exciting time in Illinois' history. I look forward to providing leadership and really encouraging bipartisan conversation and real solutions. I think we're going to get major things done for the people of Illinois.
Bruce, during the campaign.
Do you draw on your transition team for your cabinet, or is this kind of a tryout for your cabinet? How do you do it?
Well, the transition team is to help us with wisdom, with their expertise and their knowledge, and also their networks of relationships. Everyone standing before you today and everyone you'll see us announce in the next few days is a leader in the state of Illinois. They are highly respected. They have tremendous networks of talented individuals that they can call upon. And together we'll be having discussions about roles, possibilities, and possible people to recruit into key positions. We want to put together the most talented team of people ever assembled in state government.
Bruce, during the campaign, you made it quite clear that you did not want Pat Quinn as a lame duck governor seeking to make the 5% income tax permanent. you wanted the new legislature seated and the new governor in place for any consideration such as that.
Yes.
Do you hold to that belief now?
Absolutely. I hope that there will be no real significant action taken during a lame duck and with a governor on the way out. I hope that anything of significance that to be addressed can wait until mid-January so we can all deal with it together on a bipartisan basis, because the impact of major decisions can be so lasting and can have such a dramatic change on the future of the state. To have those decisions made by folks who are on their way out of office in their last few days in office, that would be very inappropriate.
Does that include the minimum wage, and have you spoken at all with Governor Pat Quinn himself?
The governor and I have not spoken, but he has expressed, as you heard, he's expressed his interest in having his staff help with the transition, and I thank the governor for that. And I also want to thank Governor Quinn for his many years of service to the people of Illinois. Yes, yes, yes.
Above average rate yesterday. What's your message to Illinois bondholders about your specific plan?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the beginning of your question.
Illinois bonds swapped at an above average rate yesterday. What's your message to Illinois bondholders? Any specifics on your financial plan to fix the state's problems?
Well, again, we must address our state's very significant financial problems. And as I mentioned earlier, I'll be working very closely with members of the General Assembly to provide both short-term solutions and long-term solutions to fix the financial health of the state. Bill?
Do you want the lame duck to act on a minimum wage?
My position on the minimum wage is very clear. I believe it very strongly. I support raising the minimum wage. I hope and believe the General Assembly should and will raise the minimum wage. But what I strongly recommend that we do is include it in an overall reform package that increases Illinois' competitiveness. So we raise the minimum wage, but we get workers' comp reform, tort reform, and tax reform as part of that overall effort, so we can grow high-quality careers, high-quality jobs, and Illinois can be a growth state again. That's the critical issue.
Without all those additional.
It doesn't seem like you're going to have a lot of time to plug that $2 billion hole. Is it your preference to do it with an incremental increase of the 3.75 income tax rate, or all cuts? What is your preference at this point?
Our plan is very clear. I'm going to work very closely with the General Assembly to come up with short-term solutions and long-term solutions to our financial trouble. It will be working. We're starting that process right now. That dialogue is begun, and it will be ongoing.
Can I ask you about the property tax freeze? That resonated with many voters in Chicago and the suburbs. Can you shed some light? You declined during the campaign to talk about how the state would do it, since that's a tax largely levied by school boards, counties, and municipalities. What's the state role in freezing property taxes? What's your plan?
Okay, so today in Illinois, we have basically, Illinois and New Jersey basically have the highest property taxes in America, and it's hurting Illinois families terribly. As I've traveled in the campaign, I've talked to families who've had to sell their homes and move because they can't afford their property taxes, and I've spoken with small business owners who've told me they're moving out of Illinois and moving to other states because the property taxes on their building, on their factory, or on their transportation center are just unaffordable. And states like Tennessee or Texas or Indiana are much more affordable and allows them to compete in their industry. We have got to change that. We need to get a handle on our property taxes. Now, this is going to take bipartisan solution, and the structure needs to be determined by the state, but we need to work with local officials as well. And again, I have called throughout the campaign to form a task force to streamline all layers of government, not just state government, but county government, municipal government, and our school district structure. Illinois has the greatest number of units of government in America. I believe it's about 7,000 units of government, if I'm not mistaken. And we have tremendous inefficiencies and restrictions that cause higher spending at one level of government enforced with unfunded mandates and regulations on other levels of government. To get a handle on our property taxes, we need to fix that problem, and we'll be forming a bipartisan task force to deal with that issue very quickly.
A preferred proposal would be that the state would step in with a multiplier, or the state would freeze assessments. What's your preferred
You listed a couple options. There are 2 or 3 other options. Again, on this, I will work with the General Assembly and with local leaders. There are 3 or 4 good ways to try to deal with the issue. I am not going to advocate any one in particular. There are several good ways to do it, and we can use some other states who've dealt with it effectively as role models for us.
Mr. Rauner, how important is an expansion of charter schools, a dramatic expansion of charter schools, and an introduction of school vouchers to your efforts to improve education and reform it, especially in the low-income Hispanic and African-American communities?
Well, Evelyn Sanguinetti and I both believe that education is the most important thing we do together as a community. Our schools in Illinois need to be properly funded. We have been cutting education funding in Illinois for years, and that's wrong. We need to put our money as the #1 priority in our schools, and that's K-12 schools, that's our universities. Today we have some of the most unaffordable in-state tuition for our universities of any state in America. That's wrong.
What about
We also,
schools and school vouchers?
And also early childhood education. We should be the best in America with our early childhood education. On charter schools and vouchers, there is an important role for charter schools, and I support charter schools. I do not believe we should have a cap on charter schools in Illinois, and I believe charter schools should receive equal per pupil funding to standard public schools because they're both public schools available to any student in the community, and so I support charter schools. I also support scholarship slash voucher programs and as well tax rebates or tax support for low-income families so their children can afford to attend other schools that maybe fit them better. The critical element of our plan is to encourage opportunities for school choice for all parents. Higher income parents can afford to choose a parochial school, a private school, a public school, homeschooling. And I believe all families should be afforded choices so they can choose a public school, an education for their child that fits their child best. There are no perfect solutions. Charter schools aren't not a panacea. Voucher programs and scholarships are not a panacea. But we need to develop options and alternatives, and we need to create school choice so that every child has an opportunity for a high-quality education.
Would you take another run at the
Yes, yes.
Does the support for the minimum wage ballot question, the advisory ballot referendum, does that motivate you anymore to get the minimum wage done quicker? Because there are plenty of people on the ballot who supported you and voted for that question by the numbers. Does that make it more of a priority?
Raising the minimum wage is a priority for us, as I've said. And the critical thing is we do that in an overall context where we drive up Illinois' competitiveness, as I've always said. That is the critical priority. More competition, more economic growth, more vitality. That's the key. Not only should we raise the minimum wage, that's very important to helping struggling families, and I support it, but we also need to increase Illinois' competitiveness because that's the real answer so folks can rise beyond the minimum wage, not get stuck at only the minimum wage, because frankly, no family can have a good life on the minimum wage. And here's the critical point. We want every family to be maximizing their net family income. Net family income is what we should be measuring. That's been declining in Illinois. We need net family income growing. That means we need a competitive economy, that we need strong growth, businesses competing to hire workers. Higher minimum wage is part of that, but we need to reduce the tax burden and have more growth. That's all together, and that's a top priority. It's a top priority for us. Yes, yes.
Maybe I'm miscounting, but it looks as if there's only one labor union leader on this particular group here. Is there a message to labor unions that we have today?
Actually, I think we have more than that, and you'll see a lot more as our transition team rolls out. I have the same message to union members as well as every other voter, every citizen, every taxpayer in the state. Help is on the way. We are going to improve the quality of life for every family, union households, non-union households, all families. I'm working for every family. I'm dedicated to getting net family take-home pay up in Illinois, getting a booming economy in Illinois, to making the best schools in America available to our public school children throughout Illinois, and ending the system of corruption and cronyism and patronage that puts an undue tax burden on every family in Illinois. We're working for everyone, everyone.
Bruce, would you be disappointed if the legislature passed a minimum wage increase bill and Governor Pat Quinn signed it before January 12th? Would you be disappointed if that were to happen without those pro-business reforms that you've talked about?
I think it's critically important that we have a comprehensive solution. If we only do one thing and not the others, we could end up hurting many families that we were really trying to help.
So you would be disappointed if that were to happen?
So what I've been very consistent, very clear. I want to have the minimum wage increased, and I support raising the minimum wage. We should do it in the context of increasing Illinois' competitiveness so families aren't stuck at the minimum wage or families don't lose their jobs because of the minimum wage. Because frankly, minimum wage doesn't matter if somebody's unemployed. We need jobs, we need growth, we need maximum opportunity for every family, and we need a comprehensive solution. That's critical.
Does that mean workman's comp reform?
Personally vote for the ballot measure on minimum wage?
I did.
Does that mean workman's comp and tort reform? When you say competitive, do you mean there must be workman's comp and tort reform?
Yes. Yes. Because those issues are hurting the competitiveness of Illinois. That's what we've got to increase.
Could you just comment into whether anyone involved in your campaign had any role in the robocalls that went out to Chicago judges last weekend?
No, I've heard just a little bit about that. I don't know much at all about it, but I hope if there's any issue there, it gets fully investigated, and if there's any improprieties, that it gets dealt with very harshly. Thanks very much, everybody. I appreciate your time. Look forward to going to work for you. Thank you.